All right, what's up, guys? Stephen Godon with 5 Tool Sports Science. Got Sean here. We're going to be doing an analysis of his med ball shuffle throws and side-to-side throws. So, Sean, let's get you started here. So, initially, get you right into your load. One sec. My thumb keeps switching on. Okay. Pretty good initial job of holding torsion. Still think it could be better. When we go forward one more frame before the drive, you're going to start to see it collapse in. But initially, pretty good job of holding torsion here. So still just the same thing. Still got to work on getting even lower with those hips. That's going to be sitting into more flexion, holding torsion, getting more hip abduction, just a lot of the mobility stuff, and really just trying to get down and open that range of motion up a little bit more. All right, that's going to get everything in a better force vector off of that front leg. So this force vector is still pretty vertical. All right, let's go forward. All right, now you're starting to drive. You're opening front side. All right, right into front foot strike. So here, again, great job. Getting a lot better with that, kicking that ankle through. On the side-to-sides, we're not going to see this as well, but on your shuffle throws, you're doing a dang good job of getting that hip through. It could still be a little bit more through, but still pretty good. Draw a line through the center. You're still early trunk tilting just a little bit, so ideally keeping these shoulders and trunk farther back as you're powering that hip through. That's going to maximize the hip to shoulder separation. So still just working on doing a better job, delaying the trunk, powering the hips through, but still a lot better. Front leg, pretty good, landing in flexion. Let's go forward in a shoulder rotation. All right. Let's see here. There's pitch release. All right. So you are getting extension off that front leg, but it's still in a little bit of flexion, and the trunk is still vertical. All right. So this just needs to get faster. And a lot of this is predicated too off of the back leg. The better you get at driving the back leg and hip forward, the bigger your stride length is going to be. And when your stride length gets bigger, the more that this front leg will land farther out in flexion. And when you get to the point where you can extend in that better flexion, it's going to get that trunk to catapult forward for more efficiently. So think of the legs like pistons. The more we can get power out of this back leg, all right, the more we get power out of that front leg to get the hips to fire, the more it's going to influence the trunk. All right. So really just getting a better job of powering out of the back leg, powering out of the front leg, and then really focusing on getting that trunk to go forward. So ideally, your trunk is launching forward, the arms lay back into external rotation, all right, and then they catapult forward into pitch release. All right, let's go forward to the side-to-side throws. All right, so here's your side-to-side. All right, so good job. I like your flexion and torsion a little bit better on this rep, but what's going to happen, you're just going to have a harder time of getting out of that back hip and driving that hip forward. So let's go forward. All right, so you're starting to drive. All right, so here's front foot strike, so you can see that ankle just isn't kicked through. This hip isn't going to be as open as the previous one. So trunk is still a little bit forward too, so you're early trunk tilting a little bit. So again, keeping this trunk delayed, keeping it back, keeping the shoulders more closed, and then just getting better at powering that hip through. All right, when you get to the static throws, it gets even harder because you're getting to use a little bit of energy from your shuffle throws and from your side-to-side throws to kind of help in the assisting of it. But when you're static, it gets even harder. So that's why it's important. You got to get explosive out of this back leg. You got to get that back leg to power the hip through. That's going to get the kinematic sequence peaking in the right order. So let's go forward at rotation. All right, so I think you landed a little bit better flexion on this front leg. Let's see if you can extend it back into, so somewhere in there's pitch release. There's a little bit of kickback, but not as much as in the shuffle throw too. So this one has got a little more flexion. Trunk is still upright. So ideally, getting more front leg extension, more forward trunk tilts out of this front leg. Let's see when you go. All right, so here it gets that full extension, and look at that. That's that much better trunk angle, but we just got to get it to where you're releasing the ball, all right, at this point. All right, not where the trunk is back so vertical. So again, that's just getting more power out of the back leg so you can power that hip through, and then getting more front leg extension so you can get this trunk to be influenced more into that more forward trunk tilt. And when that happens, all right, and you're releasing ball, More at that point, you've given your body more time to put force onto the ball. All right, let's check out these front leg extension drills. One more frame. Ooh, I like this. All right, so look, this is getting a lot better here. So look, this is a lot better extension, much better forward trunk tilt. I think you're slightly after ball release here, but still, that's what you want to see. That is a much better job with the front leg and forward trunk tilt. That's what you want to see, but that takes a lot of power. So what's happening here, this is a static position of doing this. When you're doing it live, meaning when you have that linear energy and that drive coming forward, what's happening is there's a ton of force hitting this front leg. So that's where the power comes in. You have to be able to absorb that force, then redirect that force back into the trunk, right into the pitch release. All right, that's power. That's like 0.1 seconds. It's like a snap of the fingers, like bang. It's got to be fast. So there's like 150% of your body weight hitting the front leg when you're pitching, so that you can imagine how much force is hitting the front leg to be able to stabilize that energy, redirect that energy back into the trunk in 0.1 seconds. That's a ton of power. All right, but I do like what you're doing here. Great front leg extension, good forward trunk tilt right into the pitch release. That's what we want to see. So big takeaways, still just got to get better out of that back leg. Get lower into that hip, into flexion, power that hip through, all right? And then more front leg extension. I'm trying to get to the, there we go. More front leg extension and more forward trunk tilts. So legs are still, got a ways to go, but they're gotten so much better from the start. Making progress, but just need to get more power out of the back leg, all right? More power out of the front leg. That's going to influence those forward trunk tilts.